Good evening. Welcome to Loveworld USA News. I'm Barbara Sam. First, a quick look at the top stories this evening. Israel threatens to end ceasefire if hostages are not released by Saturday. Musk defends Doge transparency amid government efficiency overhaul. Mark Folger released in exchange with Russia returns to U.S. Mayor Eric Adams denies wrongdoing after DOJ drops corruption charges. Super Bowl 59 breaks viewership record with 127 million viewers. And now to the news. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that Israel will resume fighting in Gaza if Hamas does not release all hostages by noon on Saturday. This statement comes after Hamas announced that it would delay the release of additional hostages, which was scheduled for this weekend, citing Israel's alleged violations of the ceasefire agreement. In a video message, Netanyahu confirmed that he had ordered the Israeli Defense Forces, known as IDF, to deploy additional forces within and around Gaza in response to delayed hostage release. While Netanyahu did not explicitly specify whether the demand was for the release of all remaining hostages or just the 3 to be due on Saturday. Other officials indicated that the Prime Minister's statement referred to all 76 hostages still held by Hamas. Netanyahu's warning comes amid escalating tensions as Hamas accused Israel of blocking vital humanitarian aid and obstructing the return of displaced Palestinians to northern Gaza. Israel has denied these claims, maintaining that it is adhering to the terms of the ceasefire agreement. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump expressed his support for Netanyahu's stance, urging Israel to cancel the ceasefire if Hamas fails to release all hostages by the deadline. Let hell break out unless the hostages are returned, Trump said, adding that the ceasefire should be immediately terminated if Hamas does not comply. As of now, the situations remain fluid, with international mediators from the U.S., Egypt, and Qatar attempting to prevent the collapse of the ceasefire. The outcome of this delicate situation could determine the future course of the conflict and the broader Middle East peace process. Let's take a look.
The Gaza ceasefire is now at real risk of collapsing. After Hamas's threat last night to suspend further hostage releases, Benjamin Netanyahu has now raised the stakes.
The decision I passed unanimously in the cabinet is this. If Hamas does not return our hostages by Saturday noon, the ceasefire will end and the IDF will return to intense fighting until Hamas is finally defeated.
The ceasefire has lasted 24 days so far, just over halfway through the first phase. 21 hostages have been released. 73 are still in Gaza. It's not known how many of them remain alive.
In an exclusive appearance at the White House on Tuesday, Elon Musk and President Trump addressed the press on matters relating to his leadership of the Department of Government Efficiency, known as Doge, a key initiative in President Trump's broader push to streamline and reform the federal government. Musk emphasized the importance of transparency in his efforts, claiming that all actions by Doge are fully open to the public, with updates shared regularly on Doge's social media channels and official website. Musk, often described as the driving force behind the efficiency drive, was adamant that his focus is solely on delivering the promise of the government reform made during Trump's campaign. He acknowledged that the intense focus on Doge is expected, given the scale of change they are implementing. They're doing this for the people, Musk said, stressing the goal of eliminating inefficiencies and rooting out waste within the bureaucracy. He explained that Trump's election was a mandate for transforming Washington, and Doge's role in executing these reforms is central to fulfilling the vision. During the Oval Office session, President Trump expressed his full support for Musk's work, lauding his success and the significant impact Doge is already having on reshaping the federal workforce. Addressing some concerns raised by critics regarding Musk's role in government and business, Trump emphasized that the administration would intervene if any conflicts of interest arose. Watch this.
Your detractors, Mr. Musk,
I have to what?
including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted, we have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House, we won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization. So, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not, what I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payment is explained, that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts when it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president, I know, has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately,
Including you yourself?
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watch that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this.
President Donald Trump has welcomed home Mark Fogel, an American teacher detained in Russia for over 3 years, who had been freed and returned to the United States following an agreement facilitated by the Trump administration. His release, described as part of an exchange, marks a significant moment for the U.S. and Russian relations, even as the broader geopolitical context remains tense due to ongoing war in Ukraine. Speaking at the White House, President Trump emphasized the administration's successful efforts to bring Fogel home. It's a major victory for the United States and for Mark Fogel, Trump said in a statement. No American should be wrongfully detained, and I'm proud that we've been able to bring Mark back to where he belongs, end quote. Fogel, who has been working as a history teacher at the Anglo-American School in Moscow, was arrested in August of 2021 for carrying cannabis into Russia, which he claimed was medically prescribed to manage chronic pain. In June of 2022, he was sentenced to 14 years in a Russian labor camp for large-scale drug smuggling. The U.S. government designated him as wrongfully detained late last year, and efforts to secure his release has been ramping up in recent months. The exchange that led to Fogel's release was not a direct swap, according to U.S. officials. Adam Bohill, Trump's special envoy for hostage affairs, clarified that the release was not part of a one-for-one transaction, but was nonetheless a sign of progress. Bohill also indicated that the administration might continue efforts to free other Americans held in Russia. A visible, emotional Fogel was received at the White House by President Trump and other government officials. His family, who has been advocating tirelessly for his release, expressed overwhelming relief. Fogel's release also coincides with ongoing discussion in the U.S. about Trump's approach to Ukraine, with the president suggesting that his release may be a catalyst for many more wins. Take a look.
Become a very famous guy. He's a very happy guy tonight, so it's just a real honor, an honor to have you at the White House.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero. These men that came from the diplomatic service are heroes.
Yes.
President, did you speak directly to President Putin about
Well, I don't want to say that. I just want to say that I appreciate very much what they did in letting Mark go home.
I also should make mention that President Putin was very generous and statesmanlike in granting me a pardon. I mean...
What were the terms of this deal, Mr. President?
Very fair, very, very fair, very reasonable, not like deals you've seen over the years. They were very fair. And I think that's going to lead, and somebody else is being released tomorrow that you will know of. I think this could be the very important element. You could be a big part of it, actually, because it could be a big, important part of getting the war over with Ukraine. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Come on.
We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us for more news.
The golden age of America begins right now. America's decline is over. We will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth. I am with you. I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams has responded publicly to the Department of Justice orders to drop federal corruption charges against him, maintaining his innocence and calling the case politically motivated. The Justice Department directive instructed federal prosecutors to dismiss the bribery charges filed against Adams, citing concerns that the case was biased and had negatively impacted Adams' ability to address critical issues like illegal immigration, especially amidst the Trump administration's crackdown. The DOJ's actions came in response to accusations that Adams had accepted bribes in exchange for campaign donations and luxury travel from Turkish officials. In addition to fast-tracking a certificate for the Turkish consulate in a statement, Adams denied any wrongdoing, saying, "Let me be clear. I never asked anyone to break the law on my behalf or behalf of my campaign. I absolutely never traded my power as an elected official for any personal benefit," end quote. He thanked the Justice Department for his honesty and described the decision as an end to a painful and politically charged episode. "Now we can put this critical episode behind us and focus entirely on the future of our city. It's time to move forward," Adams said. The case has had cast a shadow over Adams' administration for over a year, with critics accusing him of engaging in improper relationships with foreign officials. Adams had pledged not guilty to bribery and conspiracy charges in September of 2024, asserting that the charges were an act of retribution tied to his criticism of the Biden administration immigration policies. In a related development, former ICE Director Tom Homan announced plans to meet with Adams about collaboration on the arrest of undocumented individuals involved in crimes across the city. The Justice Department memo, which ordered the case to be dropped, noted the political dynamics at play, referencing Adams' criticism of the previous administration's immigration policies and the negative impact the case has had on his focus on the migrant crisis and public safety. The DOJ indicated the case could be revisited after the November mayoral elections, leaving the matter unresolved for the time being. Let's take a look.
My fellow New Yorkers, as you may have heard, the Department of Justice has directed that the case against me be dismissed, finally ending a months-long saga that put me, my family, and the city through an unnecessary ordeal. As I said from the outset, I never broke the law, and I never would. I would never put any personal benefit above my solemn responsibility as your mayor. It is worth repeating the facts because many sensational and false claims have been made. So let me be clear. I never asked anyone to break the law on my behalf or on behalf of my campaign. Never. And I absolutely never traded my power as an elected official for any personal benefit. No witness ever came forward publicly to make claims against me. None of the baseless threats from prosecutors of new charges and new evidence ever materialized. And this case will no longer continue. Psalms 34:1 says, "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth." So I thank the Justice Department for its honesty. Now, we can put this cruel episode behind us and focus entirely on the future of our city. It's time to move forward.
NASA has announced plans to accelerate the return of 2 astronauts currently stationed at the International Space Station ISS, shortening their stay by several weeks. The space agency revealed that SpaceX will switch to using a different capsule for the upcoming astronaut flights, following Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams' return to Earth by mid-March rather than the originally planned late March or April. This change will cut down their extended mission at the space station, which reached the 8-month mark last week. NASA's Commercial Crew Program Manager Steve Stitch acknowledged the unexpected challenges of human spaceflight in a statement underlining the complexities of the situation. Wilmore and Williams were initially scheduled to return to Earth in June aboard Boeing Starliner capsule after completing a week-long flight demo. However, technical issues with the capsule delayed its mission, and NASA decided to send it back empty. As a result, the astronauts were reassigned to SpaceX capsule. Further delays in preparing their replacement crew led to the prolongation of their mission. To expedite their return, NASA decided to send the next crew to space aboard an older SpaceX capsule that had already been prepared. The launch is now set for March 12th, with the capsule having previously been designed for a private crew set to launch this spring. Watch this.
Sure, it could have taken us home, but that leaves only 3 people on the space station from the Soyuz crew, 2 Russians and 1 American. And you know, the space station is big. It's a building, and it's the size of a football field, and things happen, so things can go wrong, and you need to be able to fix it either inside and outside. And so having additional people to be able to do that capability is really important. And it's part of our obligations to our international partners to keep this International Space Station vibrant, going, and doing research, world-class research. I think Butch and I did over 500 hours of science experiments while we've been up here. And also do research on ourselves as long-duration crew members up here. So it's all additive and beneficial. So our families understand that too. They signed up with this just like we did. So I think it's all for the good.
Super Bowl 59 has set a new milestone, attracting a record 127 million viewers, according to Nelson Media Research. The highly anticipated game, where the Philadelphia Eagles triumphed over the Kansas City Chiefs with a score of 40-22, captivated audiences across multiple platforms. Airing on Fox Broadcast Network, Fox Sports, and NBC Universal's Telemundo, the game also streamed for the first time on Fox's free ad-supported platform, Tubi. The game's broad availability across TV and digital platforms helped boost its massive viewership, particularly for Fox's streaming services, which saw an impressive 14.5 million viewers, including 13.6 million on Tubi alone. This marked the first time the Super Bowl was streamed on Tubi. The Super Bowl's viewership peaked at 137 million during the second quarter, from 8 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, according to Nelson. The game also brought in 23 million viewers of Fox pregame coverage, highlighting the immense anticipation surrounding the event. For advertisers, Super Bowl 59 presented an unparalleled opportunity to reach millions of live viewers. With ad prices soaring as much as $8 million for a 30-second spot, brands aim to capitalize on the largest live TV audience of the year. This year marked the first time the Super Bowl was offered on both a cable network and broadcasters in Spanish. With this massive viewership and advertising revenues, Super Bowl 59 continues to be a major cultural and commercial event, offering unparalleled opportunities for brands and content creators. The news continues after this break. Stay with us.
Alpha TV, the higher life is here. Watch your favorite movies.
Hi, Dimitri.
Kiddie shows, live TV channels, and many more. Anywhere, anytime on your device. With a unique emphasis on faith-based and family-oriented programming. Alpha TV is the place which points you to the higher life. Gain access to myriads of language channels available to family, friends, and loved ones in their native tongue.
Avete mai sentito dei cristiani che pregano grazie Padre dopo che hanno pregato per aver risposto a queste preghiere mediante Gesù Cristo nostro Signore? Amen.
Get this amazing entertainment on the Loveworld App Store, the Google Play Store, and the Apple Store, and begin to live the higher life. Watch Alpha TV in just 4 easy steps. Step 1, select your package. Step 2, create your login details. Step 3, set up your payment. Step 4, start watching. It's simpler than you think, with more perks than you can imagine. Explore the latest news on LN24 International, Bible classics, language-specific stations, and so much more. Get Alpha TV. Watch now. The higher life is here.
European Union election observers have praised Kosovo's February 9th parliamentary elections for their peaceful and competitive nature, but expressed concerns over their divisiveness of the political debate, especially after the ruling left-wing party's victory. Kosovo's Self-Determination Movement Party, led by Prime Minister Albin Kurti, won the most seats but fell short of securing a parliamentary majority. The party must now seek coalition partners to form the next government. The elections were peaceful and competitive, and there was participation from all communities, testing a new legal framework the EU's 104 members election observation mission said in a statement. However, the campaign was marked by intense rhetoric reflecting deep political divides. This election is notable as it marks the first time since Kosovo's independence in 2008 that the parliament completed a full 4-year term. It also represents the 9th parliamentary vote in Kosovo since the end of the 1998 to 1999 war with Serbia, a pivotal period that led to the country's independence. While Kosovo's EU-backed election system is seen as an advancement, the polarized political disclosure remains a concern. Let's watch.
Here in Pristina, supporters of the ruling party take to the streets to celebrate after the country voted in parliamentary elections. Though incumbent Prime Minister Albin Kurti has claimed victory for his party based on exit polls, they lack the majority needed to govern alone. Despite previously ruling out forming a coalition on the campaign trail, Kurti walked back that statement without hinting at a potential coalition partner.
Our coalition will form the new government. Kurti 3. We'll be continuing the work we started, but we'll also be doing a lot of other things.
The vote was considered a test for the leftist and Albanian nationalist Prime Minister, as talks on normalising ties with neighbouring Serbia, which doesn't recognise Kosovo's independence, remain stalled. Tensions remain with the country's Serb minorities. His popularity has been boosted by the measures taken during his previous term to extend government control in Serb-majority northern Kosovo, and closing banks, administration and post offices financed by Belgrade, including banning its currency. However, the opposition and his critics say he failed to advance the country's education and health, and argue his policies in the north have isolated the country from its historic allies, the United States and the European Union, who disapprove. The diaspora vote could prove decisive in assessing the outgoing Prime Minister's victory, though counting the overseas ballots could still take several days.
Over 100 residents have been evacuated after a fire broke out in the 50-story residential tower in Buenos Aires' exclusive Puerto Rico Madre neighborhood. Emergency services reported that 40 individuals were treated for smoke inhalation, with several others hospitalized. Fortunately, the fire, which spread up to the 15th floor, was eventually brought under control. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. Alberto Crencetti, head of Buenos Aires Emergency Services, confirmed that broken glass had fallen from windows, but thanks to a quick and efficient evacuation, all residents were safely removed from the building. Firefighters Christian Benitez assured that no one was in danger. The residents are all safe, he stated. An evacuee described hearing the fire alarms and quickly descending the building, but the situation was contained rapidly. The emergency crews worked tirelessly to ensure no further risk to residents. The community is now focused on ensuring the cause of the fire is identified and that safety measures are reinforced in the future. Just before we end the news, a quick look at tomorrow's weather forecast. And to end the news today, a quick recap of the headlines. Israel threatens to end ceasefire if hostages are not released by Saturday. Musk defends DOJ transparency amid government efficiency overhaul. Mark Foliage released in exchange with Russia returns to U.S. Mayor Eric Adams denies wrongdoing after the DOJ dropped corruption charges. Super Bowl 59 breaks viewership record with 127 million viewers. And that's the news for today. Join us same time tomorrow for more news. I'm Barbara Sam. Good night and God bless you.